going straight to my head. Just one job, that's all I really need. Keeps me coming right back again. I don't know what's wrong with me. Too strong, too pretty. I can only really do my best. I can't stop your late nicotine going straight to my head. Yeah. Oh goddamn, I think I burn a hole in my pants. Your scent makes me need a cigarette. Do you got plans? My diary for I move it all if you can't tell. I made too many calls, it's 2 a.m. What am I doing? I jump in the car like yet again. About to tiptoe the back door. That's my maneuver, baby. Here we go again. Is that love that keeps hitting me? Going straight to my head. Just one job, that's all I really need. Keeps me coming right back again. I don't know what's wrong with me. Too strong, too pretty. I can only really do my best. I can't stop your late nicotine going straight to my head. Straight to my head, down to my bones. Thinking I'm addicted, but it's all that I know. I can't let go, honey. I spent all my money, been chasing your highs so long. I got too many flaws, I'm clutching the straws. I'll pick you up as soon as you're gone. I'm needing some more. And baby, it's always the same, but I never wanted to change. Is that love that keeps hitting me? Going straight to my head. Just one job, that's all I really need. Keeps me coming right back again. I don't know what's wrong with me. Too strong, too pretty. I can only really do my best. I can't stop your late nicotine going straight to my head. You've been going straight, going straight, going straight to my head. You've been going straight, going straight, going straight to my head. I don't know what's wrong with me. Too strong, too pretty. I can only really do my best. I can't stop your late nicotine going straight to my head.
Welcome to a special Sunday night edition of Flat Earth Fridays. How are you doing this evening, brother?
Great to be here. Happy Flat Earth Friday, Spiritual Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah, so in case y'all missed it, Friday night we went live with this content, and we got hammered somehow computer-wise, and we just could not pull off the live stream, which I think is the first time has happened in like 7 years, right?
Yeah, we maybe could have kept trying over and over again, but after the second time, that was it. Yeah, first time ever, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be Flat Earth content tonight, and this is what we wanted to share Friday, and I don't know why they didn't want us to do it, but we're still going to do it. And so this is all about the Chicago Skyline PSYOP that Jeranism and, you know, it was Rob Skiba, supposedly gone, Rick Hummer, these characters were pushing, and it's all part of fake evidence for Flat Earth, and we're against that kind of stuff. Flat Earth doesn't need fake evidence. What that does is it makes it discreditable. So what we're going to be doing is going through and putting everything straight. So much new footage has come out to the Chicago Skyline from Indiana and from Michigan that we're going to go through, we're going to analyze this footage, we're going to talk about what it really means, and it's all about perspective on a flat plane. None of this has to do with curvature.
Yeah, so what they do is they know that the Earth is like provably, observably, and measurably flat, so they create discreditable fake information like we can see too far. And then they take different things and then put them together, and then someone comes along and debunks it and says, well, this lines up perfectly with how much should be missing due to curvature. We've shown that time and time again. And, all you have to do is pull on the threads of these disinformation agents, and you usually do find the truth. And so not only that, but we'd like you to get involved. Share a comment below. Let us know what you think. Let us think. If you think that you can see the Chicago skyline from 55 miles away, let us know if you have any evidence of it too. Who out here is actually going out and filming? Do you own a camera? So I myself grew up and lived in the Toronto area, and I had the CN Tower. I believe it was 1,800 feet roughly tall. So it was able to be measured from quite a few places away. And what I found was it was mostly difficult to see beyond 20 miles. It would be milked out or hazy. Making these types of observations are what we need to do. And what you'll start to see is, depending on your distance to the vanishing point due to your elevation and the observer elevation of what you're observing, you have these two factors put into play. And when something goes beyond the vanishing point, you can't see it anymore. It's obstructed. It's gone. And no amount of zooming. The only people that can actually zoom things back in are supposedly NASA, and they're telling you they're zooming in the outer reaches of the universe.
From trillions upon trillions of miles away, which is nonsense. The farthest ground-based observation on Earth so far is 125 miles. That's seen Everest from Kathmandu. And, you're probably not going to see it too much farther from there if you've looked at the footage. So anything that's claimed to be more than 125 miles, ground-based observation, is going to be debunkable, faked information. And so the Chicago skyline, the whole way it was presented through this news channel, it's a mirage. We're going to go through the whole narrative of it. We've covered it really since the very beginning of it, but now we're going to look at all the great footage that we have, pictures, things like that we can compare and talk about what's really happening. The reason why parts of these buildings are missing, the fact that it's not curvature, the fact that we have an actual formula that we can use to predict these things. And you can go up and set up your own shots now, knowing this information, knowing how tall a building is, knowing what tools to use to be able to tell where the sun's going to be setting. Because what you're going to need is to have a silhouette outlining the buildings. Like otherwise, Ronnie said, they're going to be milked out. You probably won't see them against a blue backdrop sky. So much to go through. But what about current topics? What about the heading to the bunkers? What about this Lions Gate coming up? What do you have to say about those things?
Yeah, so it's crazy, the modern day war is a hoax topic that we've covered for many years. The theater of war. So, since the supposed killing of the head of the Hezbollah, Israel has been on warning for an imminent attack in Israel. So apparently now they've all gone to their bunkers, and it was the United States that sent a bunch of their aircraft carriers, right? Or were they battleships over there? So my thing is, those ships that went over there are probably carrying the pyrotechnics, the fireworks that they're going to unleash. So it looks like they're going to troll the heck out of the people that say they are, what. And we should have some major current trending news in the next few days, if not imminent. While we're live streaming tonight, they might actually start the campaign.
That's what we're hoping. We really are. But between now and 8/8/2024 is another 8. So you actually have the 888, and that's considered Lionsgate. And there's so much predictive programming for that. But we also have, so it'd be the 13th in Israel, the 12th here in the United States, as far as when the true 9th of Av begins. So we have this August 12th, 13th window right there, and we know that the Olympics, this whole satanic ritual that's been taking place in Paris, that's going to be wrapping up on the 11th. So will they tie something together with the Paris Olympics and some sort of big Iran attack against Israel and all that? My hunch is yes. Yeah, that's actually what they've been setting up for, in my opinion.
Yeah, you got the agenda-free Olympics, the agenda-free stuff that's going on there. So could they do an attack there? Absolutely. They could do an attack on one of the Israeli teams. We could see that, or the Team USA, because if you put Zionism together, you got USA and Israel. They're the same, one and the same, right? So yeah, we're watching for all these types of topics. We've got the 8/8 Lionsgate, and Sirius rising is another big key marker point. The luminary Sirius, it spends a large amount of time in the night sky between now and the end of the fall. So I'm excited for that. We've got more prophetic things to be looking up into moving forward. We're going to be trending back towards getting prepared for what's going to take place in September and October. It's a big fall. It's a really big fall this year. We're really excited about it. We've got so much planned, so much prepared. I just hope everybody's tuned in and you're all ready too. So please, my last advice to you guys, if you're tuning in here, leave us a comment below the video. Let us know what you think. Help us fight back against the algorithms. If you're not a member over on Telegram at the Reality Check chat group, that's at Reality Check Chat, all one word, search it out and find us. You're missing out on some of the best breaking news and information. I'm sure after the song, we're going to get into some of the rules of engagement that Jason set forth, and we'd like everybody to participate. What we're genuinely seeking is others who want to engage in actual spiritual warfare. And we're here to help anybody that wants to do that, as long as you have good intention and a good heart, and it will be seen. You are going to show everything that you do, say, and share shows your heart's content and your heart's intention. So please join us over on the Reality Check chat. Come here, join us on the chat. If you have any comments or questions, you can always at Yahawashai's daughter, at Awake Souls, at RJ Shine. And while we're on the stream tonight, we'll try to do a answer section at the end of the podcast. But again, please leave a comment below. Let us know that you tuned in, that you saw it. Say anything, say something positive, and help us beat back against the censorship. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I'm really excited. Happy Sunday, August 4th.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
Meet me at the sundown, 6:30, where our dreams can come to life. Get behind the wheel, we can get our fix, honey, just to feel the high. I know that I'm alive, but my heartbeat's still gonna start it up tonight. We'll be drinking in this day's eclipse. You're the vodka, I'm the Sprite. Take me down the back roads, I'll follow. Lead me to the water, so shallow. Cover me in yesterday's sun. You can watch me come undone. Take me down the back roads, I'll follow. Lead me to the water, so shallow. Cover me in yesterday's sun. Dreaming 'cause real life's no fun. I don't gotta know how I got here, but I sure enjoyed the ride. Never looking back, no rearview mirror, gonna fuck with me tonight. Something's gonna break me, this is gonna make me just the way I like. We're getting out of town, I wanna burn it down, honey, do you got a light? Take me down the back roads, I'll follow. Lead me to the water, so shallow. Cover me in yesterday's sun. You can watch me come undone. Take me down the back roads, I'll follow. Lead me to the water, so shallow. Cover me in yesterday's sun. Dreaming 'cause real life's no fun. Take me down the back roads, I'll follow. Lead me to the water, so shallow. Cover me in yesterday's sun. You can watch me come undone. Take me down the back roads, I'll follow. Lead me to the water, so shallow. Cover me in yesterday's sun. Dreaming 'cause real life's no fun.
And we are back. And we are testing the pizza pie with dome tards. And what this is it's a video that's been shared by Zworst in the Reality Check Telegram group. So this is the type of thing that we're asking for from people, is to get involved, take clips, put together, make things. Right? This is... Do we have you there, Ronnie?
Yeah, everything's good and clear. Yeah, we really want everybody to get involved. Spiritual warfare is creating content, sharing your voice, making clips, documenting everything. And I love humor. I love music. You mix it all together. If anybody, again, if you're on the other side of the screen, you want to get involved, we are here to help. If you want to buy a camera, Jason is got to be the best person that could give you advice on what camera to get, what type of a tripod, how to use it, what settings to get. You've got everything here from Team Yahawashai to help you get you on the way to creating content. And I'm just really excited. I really enjoy Zwarst's content, and I'm just so thankful that Zwarst is creating content. And shout out to everybody else too that's tuned in. Tilly, Josh, Adam, VRW, everybody, thank you all so much. And good evening, Zwarst. Thank you for making this video.
Yeah, so this is what we want to do. People that make good content, and share it with us. We want to turn around and share it with y'all, and give credit to the creator of the content. We're sick of us always being the ones generating the content. We would like to have some other people to be able to share their content, and so that we can sit around and watch popcorn and have a grand old time checking these videos out. Tonight we're going to be going through a bunch of video content, the type of stuff that's showed up regarding seeing Chicago from across Lake Michigan. We're going to be bringing up some tools. We're going to be going through some calculations. We're going to be figuring out how far can you see a building from. We can actually calculate it first and then go out and test it. So all this kind of stuff. But this goes back to Jesse Jaron and his light ray thing. And this video is funny. So let's go ahead and give this a watch, and then we'll talk about it after.
I've tried to say, oh, is there any reason? No, but you'll notice what it just did. Look where it's rising. Now you've got Ronnie and Jason, all these retards that can't pay attention, that are like, oh, it rises in the south of east and it sets south of west. Yes, and that's exactly what the ray diagram calls for. Notice, this would be rising south of east and setting south of west. But the sun is over here. The sun is going around the earth like this. Okay? Again, it would rise south to east, set south to west. So, back to this. This is why when I heard Duffy or somebody say that recently, they're like, oh yeah, it's got to rise over here. No. And these things will all be clear before. I'm not going down there if that's your guys' assessment. Because even if the sun is doing this, like I just showed, it can do this. It's what the ray diagram calls for. So again, what it really should come down to is, does the sun set? Or does it circle? One of those two things is true. And I think that it makes a huge...
One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Can you tell which thing is not like the other before I finish my song? Now look very carefully, because one of these things just doesn't belong here. Is it the apple, or the ice cream cone, or the mitten, or the hamburger? Well, if you guessed this thing is not like the other, if you guessed this thing just doesn't belong, if you guessed this thing is not like the other, well then, you're absolutely correct, because all of these things, the apple, the ice cream cone, and the hamburger, are things you can eat. But did you ever try eating a mitten?
This can't be real.
I need to sit down.
This can't.
Pam, we need to take this to the grave. We cannot tell anybody. This changes literally this changes everything.
No, I know. We can never tell. We can never tell.
I might
anyone.
actually puke. Get back a little. I'm gonna puke. Stay back.
Oh my.
I'm gonna throw up.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw up.
The earth is flat, Charlie.
I know.
You are an idiot.
Okay, hold on, Jason. Before we go any further here, we got to let everybody know exactly what Jeranism did.
Yeah.
So if you could click in the chat and bring up the video on the timestamp right there, it'll only take a second to show everybody. You might have to copy it and then paste it into a tab on your left side where you have your actual tabs. I know when you open it on the right side, it won't work. So what I want everybody to understand is this is an 8-year-old issue that Jaron and I had personally. And we always talk about it. I want to make sure that people can actually see what I'm saying. So
the depiction that I just
this was, what's the timestamp? Now this was uploaded to Beyond Flat Earth way after, months, maybe a year after this actually took place. So it was roughly 8 years ago. This was put back up on September 11th. Go figure.
No, it was
first.
Published April 1st, but it was originally published September 11th of 2016.
Okay, good. I had that documented. We got to change the description box to make it say regarding virtual reality. So we scroll back up. Listen, I discovered over 7-8 years ago that the sun was rising south of east and setting south of west in the winter months in the north. And also twice a year on the equinox, I discovered that the sun travels in a straight line. So I spent a lot of my life dedicated to actually showing people so that they would be informed against the mis and disinformation that was being put out. This is an interview or a podcast because I was on Team Jaron and Patricia Steer and Mark Sargent and David Weiss and John LeBon and Matrix Decode. I was in the group with all these guys, Nathan Oakley, Martin Lickey. I was there before a lot of them. Okay. And, I just did my best. So I actually had a call with Jaron and I showed him. I literally showed him. I said, Jaron, look, your map, this model is dumb. It's wrong. You're being set up. Jaron fought me tooth and nail. It was one of the most awkward, painful things that I've ever gone through. Okay. But I did it. I did it for the truth. Now, 8 years later, right, here we are. And Jaron had to come up with, if we go back to Zwar's video now, if you want to play that for a second, I guess, do people want to hear it? Do you believe me that this was me and Jaron? I want to make sure it's documented.
Was from the southern hemisphere with the sun rising in the south of the equator and setting in the south. So the circle would continue that way.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Okay, so we're saying that the sun is traveling kind of on that yellow line there?
No.
The sun would be on this line. Well, yeah, the yellow would be the opposite of the shadow, right?
Yeah, you can go ahead and pause it. Everybody's heard now. Everyone just heard me explain to what Jeranism is going around claiming that he's the one who's debunked the AE map, and this is why. But when we go back to Zwar's video, there's a problem with what Jaron's doing. Okay? It's not that you can't eat mittens, although that's hilarious. The problem is where the observer is positioned. Jaron is creating it's like a card trick set up to fool you. There's no way that you could possibly ever have a sun going behind you when the observer is in the wrong part. The observer is outside of the dome, right? The observer on the screen here needs to be put in the center of the field of view. Always, you're always in the center. You can always see your horizon 360 degrees around you. You can measure your azimuth and your altitude for different luminaries for the rises and sets. You cannot put an observer outside of the actual reality and then make a straw man argument up that, but this is how it works, how the sun can rise south of east and set south of west. Listen, unless somebody is going outside with a compass and filming the sun and the sunrise and sunsets, all they're doing is trying to fool you. But we have to document this. I want to make sure that it's very clear to everybody. It took Jaron 8 years to come up with this, only for him to turn around and then take what I was showing him and then use that to so-called to debunk the truth, which I was actually the first one to show Jaron. Jason, you might have actually beat me on a few of those. No, I think that was before you had your call with David and Jaron. So, and it doesn't matter, okay? It's not about when, it's about what and who did what. So I want to make it very clear to the Flat Earth community that I've been hidden, I've been censored, I've been kicked out of the group for doing the exact same thing that Jaron's doing today, although Jaron's just calling me a retard and mocking me while taking the information that I showed him and tried to save him 8 years of hardship. Well, I mean, he's just grifted his way through. Jason, I just wanted to make sure if everybody got that nice and clear.
Yeah. So he goes out and he names us here as not being able to understand this. As yet you just explained, you're the one that explained it to him. So what he has here is this ray diagram, and this sort of pale greenish dot right here is supposed to be the sun traveling around between the tropics around a circle. This would be the North Pole right here. And so he's saying the sun's going around like this, but the ray diagram is showing this orange dot coming from here, coming around here. But as you've pointed out, and as this video points out, the ray diagram is outside of here. And so this is absolutely nonsensical here.
Say, oh, is there any reason? No, but you'll notice what it just did. Look where it's rising. Now you've got Ronnie and Jason, all these retards that can't pay attention.
Can't pay
Oh,
attention.
it rises in the south of east and it sets south of west. Yes, and that's exactly what the ray diagram calls for.
What?
Right. Yeah, he says that's what it calls for. And then he comes along and he moves the ray diagram
Back inside of the observational field.
Yeah, watch this. Right there. He moves it in right there.
And then it doesn't work anymore.
The ice cream cone or the mitten or the hamburger? Well, if
So here's the thing, everybody. You are an absolute fool and an idiot if you think that if this is the sun traveling around here, that this sun outside here that has this orange dot coming across like this, if you think that the orange dot over here is the sun, which is over here, you're nuts. Like, this whole ray diagram thing is absolutely horrible, but we're actually going to be seeing where this came from in just a minute.
But look, there's two suns. No one has ever seen two suns, and if they show you that, it's usually a distortion from filming or a lens flare, okay? Jaron, like you said, he's just trying to fool everybody, and he absolutely knew for the whole entire 8 years that he's been LARPing as a supposed flat earther, and he's the one that destroyed Flat Earth in the documentary, got a new house out of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're a person down here and you see the green dot sun coming towards you, and then you see the orange dot sun coming up from this direction over here, and you would see two suns in the sky, and that's not real. That's not real. So this is just stupid, but it's great to have somebody come along and point out, one of these things is not like the other, and we all get to laugh at it together then, right?
It's not like the other. Before I finish my song. Now look very carefully, because one of these things just doesn't belong here. Is it the apple, or the ice cream cone, or the mitten, or the
Mitten.
hamburger?
Oh.
Can't eat a mitten.
All of a sudden he moved the sun from the outside to the inside.
And you know what really gets me going sometimes? On Friday I was yelling and screaming. Just that I know that Jaron is taking advantage of people that don't read as much as he does, right? Or they don't. Your mind is basically like a muscle. You got to use it. You got to work it. It takes practice and effort. And he takes advantage of people that aren't using their muscular minds. And he takes advantage of people, and it's obvious if you sit down and, again, the observer. Where does the observer go in this observation, Jason? Please show everybody.
At the center, at the red dot.
Like in every single other model that you can go to online, I know you've got a few tabs up there.
Mm-hmm.
You can clearly see exactly where the observer needs to go. And it's never outside of the reality, looking back in through some kind of a ray diagram. If somebody is not showing you observations with the observer in the center and the shadows working, right? Everything has to work. Jason's already done a great job showing how the shadows do not work on the pressurized pizza dome. But what Jason has on the screen, where's the observer?
In the center. They're at the center point, a radius to a circle of sight around the observer. Now, if you go Google the words circle of sight, you'll probably get nothing but like gun sights and stuff like that. So all the information regarding our actual circle of sight, how far we can see to the horizon, how to calculate the distance to the horizon, all that information is absolutely super hidden, but that's the information we're going to be bringing out tonight, right? So north, south, east, and west, these are, you take a compass, you got your 360 degrees here. This is what you see within your circle of sight. And of course, that being the case, it's showing the sun rising from Earth and setting into Earth on a fixed and stationary plane.
That's right.
It's the luminary that's rotating, not the observer.
And this is a great site. You could turn on the analemma. What you have there is the sun's path. You have the ecliptic path, which is the white ring. And then I believe the two tropics, I guess the blue line is the Tropic of Capricorn. There's the analemma right there. No, I think that's the equator. Sorry, the blue line.
Yeah, so that's actually that blue line is set. That's the ecliptic tilt to the observer. So when we go down to the equator here, you can see that the ecliptic tilt is now, it's vertical. It's 90 degrees up. If we were to have this right at 0, I went a little too far south. So right, these sliders don't work the best. You have to get it close. There's 0.8 degrees north. So you can see now that the ecliptic is straight up and down. And if you watch here, here's the north on the left, here's the south on the right. As I go south of the equator, you're going to see that ecliptic tilt, leaning towards the north now. And this is the explanation for when you're in the south, how you have, let's get to the time of the year. It's going to be after the fall equinox here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is when you're looking from above, you're going to be able to see that the sun is rising from south of east now and setting south of west, and it becomes more and more extreme the farther south you go and the closer that we get to the winter solstice.
Yeah, and what I want to show everybody is that the sun moves a little bit slower south of the equator as it's moving, and that shows you that there's a little chubbier of a loop on the southern side of the path of the luminary, which we call the sun. He's the leader and the great luminary that lights everything in the entire creation. So there's nothing in the outer reaches of the universe. Everything is local. And again, the analemma is a snapshot of the sun's position once a day for the entire year. And what you get is a star trail of the sun, and it forms a figure 8, and it moves slower, and it has a wider path due to its speed, right? By what it passes over the top of your head every day, and you take a picture in the sky, and that's how you create the analemma.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and stop and show everybody that. This is, let's get this lined up where somebody can see it. Well, let's go back to the north where we're more familiar with the way this looks. We'll go more towards a summer day, and we'll go from the north. Well, let's go ahead and leave it like this, but we'll bring our time around to like that. So now if we leave our time the same, so we went out and we were to take a picture of the sun every single day, then what we'll get is the path of the analemma. See this at the same moment every day, taking a snapshot, the sun is going to trace out this path in the north. And then if we go to the south, it's going to look like, we'll swing around so we can see it better here. See how it's inverted right now? But it's the same exact thing. This is the path of the analemma, taking a snapshot every single day. So this ecliptic wobble here, the full wobble takes place every day. We'll spend a podcast coming up going into more detail studying the ecliptic wobble. It's really something, it's another heliocentric debunk, really big time in and of itself, because they don't have anything describing what would give you this much of a wobble every single day. This white path here, watch this, when I start the animation, that's the constellations of the zodiac, of the ecliptic, moving throughout the sky in one day. That's the path of one day. So it wobbles, that full wobble every single day. But this is how the sun rotates around an observer, everybody. And this right here is proof that we're in a virtual reality, because the luminaries are rising from Earth and setting into Earth here. So this is one of our models here. But let's go ahead and keep going here.
Yeah, well, I mean, what we need to jump to now, if you're proclaiming that, is the fact that, I don't know if you've got links up. So when you film a plane, right, and it's got the sun shining on the underbelly, the plane, this is only possible in a virtual reality. They're Sun rises and sets in between clouds. You'll have clouds behind the sun, and you can't zoom or focus them in and out, pretending that they're too wispy. You get the full-on understanding that the reality that we're in acts in a supernatural way, where all the luminaries and rainbows are actually at a fixed distance from you. So you move closer to them, they move further away. So you can never get to the end of the rainbow, nor the sun, nor the moon. And, in a globular world, when it's a spinning sphere bending over backwards, you would never have the sun rising like this, shining just on the underside of the plane. It would be the whole sky would be illuminated underneath the clouds. But what we get is just that local area of the plane. You can see how it's being underlit.
Very clearly being underlit there, yeah. Bright reflections. Yeah, so all of this stuff is just a group of evidence that we can gather because of the ability to really zoom in. Our eyes can't see this type of magnification and just see how clearly that this is being underlit and glowing, right? It's not the top side of the plane that's lit, it's the underside that's lit. And that doesn't work with a 3,000 mile high sun or a sun that's 93 million miles away. That doesn't work.
No, those are all very local observations, right? And the person in the plane, they don't see the sun shining on the bottom of the plane. The sun is again in front of them to a fixed position, as it is for us observing from a distance. Again, this is how it's supernatural.
Yeah, so here's another video by Zorst. We'll just watch some of it, but it starts off with this clip. This is a Chicago Skyline thing. Here's Willis Tower. It used to be called Sears Tower. If you call it Sears Tower, I get it. That's what I grew up with.
And Sears
too.
Is gone, right? Sears closed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long time it's been Willis Tower. I got used to that transition. It's the Hancock Tower. That one's got a new name, and I don't even know what it is. But so this is looking, well, they say looking across the lake. From how far, we're going to start to be able to figure that out on our own. There's different views. There's a closer view from about 32, 33 miles away in Indiana that you can see from the angle that the buildings present themselves that it's coming from a southeast angle. And then there's a more straight across the lake view that's 55 miles in length, and you get a different perspective looking from true east across as opposed to from the southeast. So that's one of the ways that you can tell which is which.
Aligning yourself with the skyline and putting the buildings at the correct azimuth in your circle of sight if you were to use a compass. Also, please make sure that you zoom in to keep the picture as large as possible.
Yeah, we'll just watch a little bit of this because it's not really set up for the way we presented it. It's more set up for a phone type presentation. right, so it becomes a little hard to be able to show all this presented correctly, but go ahead and join the Reality Check chat group, and the video's posted there, and then you can find links to where else Zors has published it. But this is, he's crediting Listexic, which I believe is another Aussie, and
no, I think he's Polish. So
I think that's Naui Ja.
oh yeah, sorry, Naui, I got the two confused. Naui was actually promoting that we live in a matrix, and he was sending people to the Inspired channel today.
Oh no. Yeah.
Lost Naui.
So this is trees behind the sun, and this is absolutely when people, we're telling people the sun rises from earth, the sun sets into earth, and yes, we can actually go out and film and record this for ourselves. Now when you see the sun come out of a body of water, it's got a special way that it behaves, and then when you get the right perspectives here, you've got the sun at the right distance, you can get it coming out of ridge lines where you can clearly see trees behind it and in front of it. So yes, the luminaries rise from earth and set into earth. That's super important for everybody to understand. Once you get that, you'll understand that we're in a virtual reality. All right.
Spot on.
So yeah, everybody, that is Zors. Get involved, everybody, in the Reality Check chat. Now we're going to move sort of into the Chicago Skyline stuff, and this is something that's been absolutely critical, foundational, a part of every single thing that Jaren's done. Listen to this, everyone.
So hold on, I just want to point out again before we get into this. When you identify somebody as a disinformation shill or someone that's spreading misinformation, all you have to do is look carefully at the content that they've been sharing, and you will find all of the disinformation. And generally, you just go the opposite direction, the 180 of it, and you'll be in the truth clear path.
Absolutely. I just lost my headphones for a second, but
yeah, we can.
Houston, we have a problem.
Another Freemason about to turn blue.
You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is
It's not a mirage.
No, it's not. It's not a mirage. It is the buildings across Lake Michigan in Chicago.
that's been his opening line for
Jazzy.
7-8 years, and it's not a mirage. Where does that come from? Well, it comes from Skyline Skepticism, the Lake Michigan Mirage. This was published April 29th, 2016. And we don't know if there was an actual newscast to go with this, but it was published on ABC 57's website. So we've often, contemplated whether or not this whole thing was just a made-for-YouTube PSYOP, but there is at least reference to it on their website. So we'll go to a better source of this. There is a YouTube for Tom Combs, and this video's only got 31,000 views since July 29th of 2016, but this is what set it all off. So let's go through and start breaking this down. You're going to get a chance to meet Joshua Nowicki, the famed character for the It's a Mirage photograph. And we'll see what the whole setup is behind this.
Every day is different. The view you see across the lake or the lake shore, the waves, the clouds, the sun, everything's different. It's always something unique to see. It's a new experience every single day.
Joshua Nowicki captures it all through a lens. He's an amateur turned semi-pro photographer.
I moved to Southwest Michigan about 4 years ago.
There's Joshua.
I love with living along the lake, and photography just kind of took off from there.
Some photos he takes for work, some he's...
All right, so this lens right here is nothing spectacular. I can't quite read it here, but my guess is it's probably a 200 millimeter focal length. And let's compare that to the P1000, which is a 3000 millimeter focal length. Now his camera lens is absolutely capable of capturing these images, but of course you could zoom in more if you had more powerful zoom than this.
sells, but most he snaps just because he loves it.
The time out here along the lake taking photos is very precious to me. It's extremely relaxing. Everything else just melts away, and I can focus on taking photos and enjoying the moment.
A year ago was one of these precious moments that went viral. And I thought I wasn't going to get anything that would beat this until I found this photo from Grandmere State Park. This is from Joshua Nowicki. And what you're seeing here is a mirage. A year ago, I showed...
Let's get a pause. Okay, so what I want everybody to key in on here is when you see the heliocentrists bringing forth supposed you can see too far footage, you know the fix is in, right? What they're going to try to tell us here is that this is due to atmospheric lensing or looming. It's the phrase that they like to use. And what we're trying to tell everybody is you cannot see anything that's gone beyond your field of view. It doesn't get magnified. All we actually can do is magnify what's in our field of view. Now, a mirage is when when you see the skyline, but it's flipped upside down. That happens due to certain types of moisture levels. But what we can actually show you is that what happens due to perspective and due to the vanishing point is that objects and buildings go beyond your vanishing point and you lose more and more of them the further away you move, okay? And this is completely testable, verifiable. There's no ray diagram observations. We're not going to tell you to go into your kitchen and get some ketchup bottles and try to prove anything. We're just trying to show you the exact way that this reality works. And objects you can't see that far. And this is the crazy thing. The distance to the horizon is true. I've tested it. I've gone out and measured. Oh yeah, it was Matrix Decode, one of the first main flat earthers that debated Red's rhetoric first, before Jason and I destroyed him. He was filming lighthouses and found that he was seeing less and less of the lighthouses from the bottom up, right? And did he push on to try to explain it like the Mall Angel video does on Jason? No, Matrix, he's not doing that anymore. But what we're trying to show you is this is how you can actually see. I guess you're ready to take over.
Yeah, I'm just getting set up here. So I went to Grandmere State Park over in Michigan, and we're going to just get our heading set up here. And we want to get lined up with Chicago. There's Chicago right there. So now, when we move across the lake right here, we're at Grandmere State Park. So we're just going to move straight towards Chicago right now. And we're going to get the lineup of the Chicago Skyline from this heading. We'll get down here a little bit lower. So here's our Chicago Skyline here. Let's get a little bit, and you'll see now the higher buildings that stand out. So if we move here, you see the Willis Tower Vault. I call these the two towers. This tower that's in the middle of them, and over here, the angle in right this is the John Hancock Tower. So when you are from this park, you can all see these two here. So let's go back to this video quick and take a look at this. And what you're seeing in this picture is it's not in between those buildings. So this picture right here, if we go to there's the Indiana Dunes. Let's go ahead and show everybody where Indiana Dunes are. We're from Grandmere Park. Indiana's are here. So now Indiana Dunes are Indiana Dunes. So let's go ahead and get a hint again. Chicago. Come and look at what we close here. Here's the dunes. We're just going to, you see how much close it is? Now we're at 30 miles. Grandmere, I think more like 50. We'll go ahead and move in. Come on, move. So now we're coming in from the southeast. Look at our field. Look at what's happened here. Now we have this alignment. So the Willis Tower.
Hold on, Jake. We got to go to a song break, everybody, and hopefully that the problem will be resolved. Could you throw on the one break that we got lined up and come back to this, please?
Sure.
No need to try.
What? You know what it is? It's trying to use Google Earth.
You know if you need me, just call me. I run to be right by your side. You're flying so high, just happy to be sitting shotgun with a smile in your eye. I hope that you catch a reflection and see what you're leaving behind. what you give, so get what you had to. And as hard as it is to admit that you went through shit, but it's over now. And we're here somehow, on the same old ground. I'll be a shoulder to lean on if you wanted to scream, then we can figure it
What?
out. 'Cause it's over now. We're both here somehow, on the same old ground. No need to try. Moving on, you're feeling alright. Living in the time of your life. You know if you need me, just call me. I'd run to be right by your side. You're flying so high. Here if you need me, you know. My brother, you're never alone. You can leave the door closed. Wash it out the dirt of your clothes. Parts of you I don't need to know, but I hope that you know if you're hurting, I'll be someone whole. Are you still there, picking old fights in a headlock with your old life? I hope that you know if you're hurting, that I'll be someone to hold. And you get what you give, so you gave what you had to. And as hard as it is to admit that you went through shit, but it's over now. And we're here somehow, on the same old ground. I'll be your shoulder to lean on if you wanted to scream, then we can figure it out. But it's over now. We're here somehow, on the same old ground. Here if you need me, know. My brother, you're never alone. Are you still there, picking old fights in a headlock with your old life? Are you still there, picking old fights in a headlock with your old life? Are you still there, picking old fights in a headlock with your old life? I'm here if you need me, you know. My brother, you're never alone.
Well, I think I figured out what our problem is. We're not going to be able to share from Google Earth, everybody. That absolutely fried the encoder. So hopefully...
Okay, we identified the problem, and that's it. You guys know what's going on now. So it's great that we figured that out, and I know it just came back in before we ended the song. It took that long for the encoder to catch back up. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Sorry about the glitches. We're constantly trying to, work our best to do what we can.
Yeah, well, I would have liked to have been able to share that, but now I'm understanding that I'll have to pre-record something like that.
Video, and then play that during the stream, exactly.
Yeah. So, back to, this is Tom Combs and the Lake Michigan It's a Mirage. Let's continue with this. But what we were pointing out is that this view is not from across the lake. This is the closer 32 to 33 mile view of Chicago. And that's the reason why you can see as much of the buildings as you can right here, because the true across the lake 50-mile footage, you can't see this much of the buildings. We'll be getting to that.
Showed this amazing picture on air and online. The story has been one of the most viewed stories on our website ever. Most click because of its rarity, and also because there are Skyline skeptics. They say my explanation is a cover-up. A cover-up to their belief that this picture is proof the Earth is flat. Here on the shores of Lake Michigan at Warren Dunes State Park, just 50 miles towards our west is Chicago. However, we can't see the skyline, at least from this vantage point.
Earlier this year, there was a really good chance. It looked like probably 40 or 50 buildings looked visible from the top of the...
Let's go back here. So now all of a sudden, this is not the same image as before. Now all of a sudden we have less buildings.
Here, there was a really good chance. It looked like probably 40 or 50 buildings looked visible from the top of the dune over here, which is the most I have ever had a chance to see it.
Is it evidence of early philosophers that the world isn't round?
So,
or is it a mirage?
Go
they
ahead.
put out the disinformation. That last photo, go back a click, please. They put this out, and so that gives the flat earthers to say, we can see the whole building. Earth is flat, right? From the sand dunes in Indiana was the big story that Rob Skiba, we're going to get to that hopefully, and Dick Hummer, right? The master of ceremonies.
Absolutely.
Evidence of early philosophers that the world isn't round? Or is it a mirage?
All right. So pay attention to the view of the Chicago skyline from here. This is from the southeast, not straight across.
Oh, this right here, it's right, really easy, right through here.
We climb the dunes to find out.
A mirage is a case.
So here's an actual mirage, everybody. So you've got the Tom Combs, the meteorologist, trying to tell everybody that it's a mirage, but this right here is the actual mirage. And you can see that it's very blurry, it's very faint, and it's inverted.
So I want to point out here, hold on. I want to point out again, all that's happening is what is in our field of view, right, is being flipped. It's being magnified, distorted, and flipped. It's not, what we're not seeing is something beyond our field of view that's somehow being pulled upwards into the sky so that we can see it. The only thing that's taking place is there's a layer of sky that's got atmosphere or water particles in it, or particulates, whatever, and it's flipping. It's flipping the image towards our eyes. That's it. That's all that is. There's nothing being brought up that's beyond the curve or beyond the horizon.
Well, and so this is happening on days where they say there's a bunch of warm air out over the cold water, and you get this type of bad effect. Now, if it's not one of those days, then all of a sudden you can just see the buildings real clear.
Mm-hmm. If they're in your field of view. Okay.
Yeah, but from these locations, yeah, you can absolutely see the buildings on the regular. It's just the days that there's a mirage that you're going to get something whacked out like this.
Atmospheric refraction, and it's caused by the fact that you have temperature variations in the atmosphere, and these cause density variations.
Dr. Mark Ronnie is an associate professor of aerooptics at the University of Notre Dame.
So literally, the
Notre Dame
varies within the air, and this variation of the speed of light has the effect of bending
Speed of light.
Sometimes the Lake Michigan waters makes us see.
All right, so here, just on a normal day, you can see there's the outline of the buildings.
Things. Here we are at the top of Warren Dunes. Pretty exciting as the inversion is setting up as we speak. A spring night, the lake waters are still very cold, and we can see out on the horizon and above it a dark line that's...
All right, so here they point out inversion. This waviness, right, is the result of what he's talking about, the fact that there's hot air out over the cold water, and that's what's creating this waviness that's taking place.
Show up just above. That's the inversion. That's where temperatures are different below than they are above and creating that cap. And we're beginning to see that.
This is what they want to focus on. The couple days out of the year that you get that sort of waviness, when the rest of the days out of the year, you can just see the buildings there nice and crystal clear. Right?
Atmospheric lensing, where in spots along the horizon, we're seeing either breaks in the buildings or where the buildings may be flipped or distortion caused by...
That's a mirage right there. Now, when we see the other pictures where you can clearly see, the buildings, you see the lights on in the windows, those are not flipped inversions that are mirages.
By the mirage or atmospheric conditions that are changing as we speak.
What's happening is the light from Chicago is being bent by the cold air above Lake Michigan slightly downwards towards the observer
Hold on.
here.
I mean, these clown shoes, they have to misrepresent everything. So everybody knows that the water there, which we use to level things, is level. There's no curve between the city of Michigan and Chicago. None. There's no curve, and all you have to do is rise in elevation to see the entire scene, and you'll notice that there's no curvature. And the other thing that you'll never see are those buildings leaning away. So right off the bat, they've created this non sequitur, and they're strawmanning the argument to non-realities, not observable realities. And the truth is that what we have is a flat and level picture, and then it's the cold air that actually does the bulge in the sky. It has nothing to do with the earth, the direction or the angle of those buildings.
Yeah, so as you can see in the diagram here, if Earth was curved and that was the reason why we were seeing less and less of the buildings, then obviously the buildings would have to be tilted away from the observer. Right? And this is just in 50 miles they're showing. Have to be tilted away.
In Michigan, and that's helping the light rays get around the curvature of the Earth, so to speak, so that Chicago can be seen almost all the way down to ground level.
See, now there's...
No, not almost all the way down to the ground level. That's the lie. There you have the Notre Dame guy lying to you. You cannot see the buildings down to the ground. That's the thing.
Buildings shown up straight ahead of us. But if it is a mirage, argues many of the
Why didn't they zoom in there and show us them on the camera?
Yeah, here's the Flat Earth Society that they take you to.
Robbie Davidson's logo.
Who've emailed me, the image should be upside down.
The word mirage originates from the same root word as the word mirror. So technically, I think if you're going to be a stickler about it, you would say a mirage has to have an inverted image. But
yeah, so if it's going to be a mirage, it has to be inverted. Technically. But
again, the physics is all the same.
The science is this.
The physics is all the same. And then they do this inside the studio thing with these lenses. And this becomes part of Rob Skiba's bit right here.
Same of that of a lens. Here's a simple example.
So if you're looking at Chicago here, just maybe now you can just see the top of the Sears Tower, and if our simulated temperature inversion moves into place, hopefully now you can see all of...
See, that was so fake because he moved the lens over into place, and then all of a sudden
they see the whole city now.
They brought it into focus. Watch this.
Absolutely, this is not true. This is such a stupid magic trick. These guys should be ashamed of themselves.
Watch this.
Inversion
pushes it over.
Place.
See it now. All of a sudden, the cameraman has to actually focus.
See pretty much all of Chicago,
all the lower buildings.
including what's...
No, and you can't see to the bottom. You can't.
Yeah,
the ground
it's
level.
crazy.
So the atmosphere really is acting like a lens.
Yes. So this is...
No.
He's showing us a lens and saying this is the atmosphere. No, it's not. That's a lens.
That's a lens.
The refraction displaces the...
And they're moving it up and down and other things too. See how it's blurred out?
Where you think the image is not where it actually is.
Where you think
Hang on a second. Who is it that goes around telling you that's not where it is? That's your AE map model people who believe that the sun is outside of the dome. We see an apparent sun. And who else? The globe earthers actually say that that's an apparent sun's position because you can't triangulate any of the sun positions in different multiple places on a sphere. It doesn't work.
Once again, this picture is from Indiana Dunes. This is not coming straight across the lake at 50 miles.
That picture from a year ago, that's looming, as are these photos that we snapped. This is a mirage. We caught this looking...
That's a mirage right there. That is truly a mirage. The other ones are not looming. They are seeing the buildings based on the distance to the horizon, right? From different distances. That's what they are.
Towards Michigan City. Notice the distortion or flip in the image in the time lapse. On a normal day, say in the...
On a normal day, everything's always just straight up like this.
Summer, you can see Chicago, but only a dozen or so of the tallest buildings.
Anything more than that, especially once you get over 10 or 12, something's happening, because that's not usually there.
The views along
Yeah, it
the
is.
lake are always changing, along with the weather.
It's always
No, anytime it's clear, you can see across, and anytime it's cloudy or hazy, you can't.
You can't. No, it's impossible. Scroll down. You get what you get depending on the atmosphere and your distance to the horizon. So they did this. So Flat Earth was gaining a lot of traction. So they put out the misinformation. Then they came out and debunked it on their own show. This was all them doing it. And what you had was guys like Mark Sargent, Rob Skiba. Well, Skiba and Dick Hummer, they actually went there and pretended to do the same observation, but they had to drive 20 miles away from the city to film it.
Yeah, so...
Oh, you got that link. Bing, there it is.
Okay.
Bam.
Got that link. So the Chicago Skyline Explained Edition, Part 1, Refraction, Magnification, or Curvature. That's Rob Skiber's. That's January 27th of 2017. And so the guy under the towel right here, this is Rick Hummer. This is partner in crime. He was MC of the first, I think, 2 Flat Earth conventions. And
oh boy, was he horrible too. He made everybody yell, "We're not crazy!" And he just constantly said crazy things. And his main thing to fame, Jason, I think you were probably going to say it, he LARPed as a character named Roland Reddy, right? Mocked Christianity. And who did he do an interview with?
Neil deGrasse Tyson as Roland Reddy.
As Roland Reddy, trolling him about space and Flat Earth. How do you get... Who is Rick Hummer? Is he some high up Freemason? Because we all know that Neil deGrasse Tyson wears the vest with the compass and square and the sun's the Freemason points of light and all that. How did Rick Hummer get to LARP around with Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah, well, he did do the ladder ceremony with David Weiss. Yep, and he's got his own music video that we can check out that shows just how satanic he is. But see, this guy LARPed as a Christian the same way Rob Skiba did, and here they are supporting the It's a Mirage PSYOP with their own disinformation. So they set out in a boat, and this is the type of footage that they got with this milky haze that shows up in front of the Chicago skyline. None of this is well documented, and then there's obvious doctoring that took place of the footage, and the whole thing ended up just being it went nowhere type PSYOP.
Ridiculous.
We're
They
just
like celebrating, right?
Yeah, you have
celebrating like they won something. I mean, they didn't do anything. The observation's horrible. They don't show us where they filmed the skyline from, right? Did they say that this is from the Indiana or from Michigan?
Well, in a boat driving over the lake from.
But they never actually like did a Google place you and point to and show you how far away the image that they were celebrating was. They drove for like all day to get to the other side of the lake.
Yeah. But they ran out of gas and had to turn around and go back.
They ran out of gas.
Yeah. So we've got all this stuff, and he's showing the Tom McCombs thing that we just went through, and then this is where some of his footage begins. And so here we've got the Willis Tower, but where's the bottom of it, and where's the rest of Chicago?
Uh-oh. That's not showing the whole building.
Yeah.
The other parts must be persecuted by the curvature.
Yes. Yeah, so it's not showing the bottom. You're not even seeing the rest of the tall buildings around it.
Why does he have a car, draw masked and placed into the shot? Everything that they did was just so ridiculous.
Yeah, Aaron Dover covered it, and then that led to him doing this whole magnifying thing.
Oh, here we go. Drum roll, please. He's going to show you how looming works.
It's his tabletop. He doesn't show much of it here. Yeah, it's this thing right here, the looming, the magnifying glass. And then he likes to show, footage like this where you can see.
In fact, I'll put the link in the...
where you can see how things will move up and down in a waviness, and this is part of the miraging. When you see things waving around like this, So under specific conditions, you can get this type of waviness, but not in normal day conditions.
And nothing's coming beyond the horizon back into view ever. It only waves what's in your field of view.
All right, so here's his tabletop thing that he created that when people ask the question, how does the sun set, how does the sun go down on the fake flat earth?
Only if
the
sun go down, right?
Everybody used to just send, a person to ask the question, the Rob Skiba video. This was supposed to be the explanation of why we saw the sun go down. And it's horrible. He just slid a magnifying back and forth on a desk, and it showed nothing. But then he comes out in this, and he points out that this model, all right, this one we've shown over and over again. That's CGI. You can't play that video. You'll get your video taken down. And we got Rob trying to do the halo around his head here.
Perspective. Pretending my face is the sun. Face like the sun. Little shout out to my friend Gons. There you go.
Oh.
Shout out to Gons.
It's not rocket science.
So then he goes...
Sure by now, most of you have probably seen this little animation I created. This was done actually back in May of 2015. So it was...
All right, so you remember when Skiba came onto the scene, he initially wasn't a flat earther.
No, he was very pissed off that he had to cover it, actually.
Yeah. And he's saying that he began flat earth having made this model.
And not only that, he also took stellarium and he overlaid it on top of this as well. And that's how you get all the shills like Zen Garcia and everybody that, this is how the moon phases work and how everything fits perfectly on the AE map and model, except they're missing all of the southern constellation stars, all of them.
So that was Rob's take. Now, this is something I just came across when doing a search gathering links for this hangout. And this is Flat Earth Strawman Episode 7, Rob Skiba, Chicago, and his refraction contraption. And this is just a heliocentric shill here that's going to go through and point out all the things that are wrong in what Skiba did. So he's going to go through and show how stupid this tabletop thing is that Skiba created. All right, this was the thing where...
Check this out.
There it is.
Refraction bends the light downward.
So hold on, pause it. Who? I want the audience to think about this. Who do you think needs to have refraction bendy lights in their model? Is it the virtual reality model where everything is local and observed exactly the way that we see it in our circle of sight, rising up out of the ground, going over our heads and setting back into the ground? Or do you think it's on a spinning sphere? Do you think a spinning sphere needs looming and atmospheric lensing effect? Absolutely. Their model, they need this or they are sunk in the water. So every time you see a flat earther trying to prove looming or atmospheric lensing, they are using the heliocentric straw man arguments, the ad hoc theories. They need this.
Yeah, so then he goes into a refutation of Rob's video here. And then, lo and behold, what do you think shows up next?
The constant height
of
the observer. First, we will use downward refraction. This green point of light is the sun, and the blue circle here is the observer, and this cone of blue lines represents the direction from which the observer perceives the light to be coming from.
All right, so I don't know if you recognize it yet, everybody, but this is where Jaren got his light ray thing from. That's what this is. So this light ray thing comes from a globe earth shill. Right, this is the tool that they're using to fake the refraction, and that's what Jaren's using now. So lo and behold, this is what the heliocentric shills use, and it turns out to be the same thing Jaren's using.
They needed to explain the observations and the way that things work, because the sun can't rise due east and set due west for everywhere on a sphere, on a spinning ball. It's impossible. I mean, and we could go on and on forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Rick Hummer Rob Skiba connection.
And look at the name of it, Jason.
Yeah, this is
Jesuit.
Jesuit. It's a song called Victimized, and Nuit Coptis, Victimized by Rick Hummer.
Wow. Check.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself, 'cause it's right around the corner from you. La-da-da-da-da-da. Take a second and look around, my friends. I'm asking, can't you see what's going down? They run the show on you and you're blind, so pop your bubble, 'cause you're just another fish in the crowd. You walk their walk and talk their talk, and your own tongue is spreading their lies. See what I mean?
Pause it.
That screen ain't clear.
Pause. So this is what's called revelation of the method. Okay, he's mocking you. He literally said you're sharing their lies, spreading it around. Right. So what they do is they use signs and symbols and they fool the masses. People actually believed that this guy was pro flat earth when most of the time he said, I can't stand this topic. He said it's retarded. He said these things at an actual conference where people came to hear people speak about flat earth. This guy happens to be one of the worst shows. It was Infinite Plane Society who called him out and said, hey, we know you're a Freemason. You're on the Level channel. He said, you got all the signs and symbols, but did IPS know that he had this video?
I don't know.
Look at this. Does people think that this guy is a truther? He's literally saying you're spreading their lies around.
A Christian? No. No, none of the above. And we've been calling it out all along, and the fact that Rob Skiba and Rick Hummer were working together. First, it was a balloon launch, which was just a grift. Right? They took the money, got no results. Yeah. And then it went to the It's a Chicago thing, and all they did is added some CGI to it and turned it into garbage, right? Because their job is to co-opt the truth and bury it with disinformation.
Disinformation agents.
Yeah, and then there was
Yahweh.
This guy.
Oh,
he's in the mix on it. So this is our coverage 7 years ago. This was June 26th of 2017. Covering the Rob Skiba, Friend of Yahweh, Jeranism, IPS, Flat Earth Liars, End Times. And so we've been on this topic for a while, so now we're starting to get to some of our new real footage. And this is the kind of stuff that's being shared in the Reality Check chat. So May 6, 2017, this is Indiana Dunes. This is the closer location. Look at how much of the buildings you can see, how many of the buildings are visible yet low to the water. This we saw is like 32, 33 miles. This is Chicago from the southeast. See, the more zoom you got, the better you can zoom in on these things. This is great. This right here is the top of a building, everyone. You can, if we could bring up Google Earth, you could compare the view and see every single one of these buildings. Line them up. They're all standing straight up. None of these are tilting away.
Nope.
In fact, the best thing you could do would be, have somebody go out there with a big old sign and a plumb bob hanging off the edge, show everybody that no, it's not tilted away.
So the best way I showed everybody in the Flat Earth too 7-8 years ago, the best way to do long distance observations is with mirrors and reflecting the sunlight. It's the most obvious thing that you can possibly see. But so what basically, if you had the information up, if you could show the height. I know we can't use Google Earth anymore. It crashes the website. So the missing obstructed parts of these buildings actually show you the distance to the vanishing point. So each one of the floors in the building, you can actually measure how far they can be seen from. And we can guarantee you, if you use the the distance to the horizon calculator, you can actually pinpoint precisely at what floor is actually obscured to in these buildings. And you can actually, vice versa, do the back engine work.
Yeah, we'll have to make a video first that we can use so that we don't crash it out. But yeah, you just take the height of these buildings, and that's easy to Google, and then you multiply, you do the square root of the height in feet, and then you multiply that times 1.22459, and that'll give you the distance to the horizon in miles. And that'll tell you how far you can go along the lake shore and still be able to see that building at that height, right? All right, these are all very tall buildings right here, everyone. Very tall. Where's the bottom of them? Obstructed due to perspective, the distance to the horizon, and they've begun vanishing beyond the horizon here, and there's no zooming them back in. You can't zoom these buildings back in. We're already showing super zoom footage.
You can only magnify what's in your field of view.
So very real footage that anybody can go out and get at this location any day that's not too cloudy or overcast. Here's another look at it. See, this is the Indiana Dunes, 33 miles away, of course. And this person says their first attempt at IR photography. And I just wanted to show that with IR photography, guess what? You don't see the bottoms of these buildings.
And it's worse. You see less of the picture. It's degraded.
Yeah.
People believe it'll bring the buildings back up when you destroy your camera.
Yeah, this is a very noticeable building. I think it might be the Prudential, but you can always spot this one in the Chicago Skyline, and huge amount of the bottom of this building missing here. Not due to curvature. These buildings aren't leaning away from you. They're not tilted back. But yeah, the IR did not bring in the bottoms of these buildings. Once it's beyond the vanishing point, it's gone. And that's the same with things like radar, all line of sight type things. If they go beyond the vanishing point, they can't be recognized. They just disappear. It's gone. See, the bottoms of all this stuff is gone. Here's time lapse of the sun setting over the Chicago skyline from 56 miles away, they say. And this one is probably correct. And the reason I say that is because look at how much of the buildings you can see now and the different orientation that you're getting to them. So now here you have the Willis Tower that you can only see 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings now. None of the other ones you can see here. All right. Does anybody see a shrinking sun going away from you right here? I don't. I see a full-size sun, and especially because it's been zoomed in so much, it's very, very large now. And this is the way the sun looks when rising and setting from water here. You get this flared edge at the bottom. If you watch this footage, you'll see this is time lapse, so it's moving really quickly, but you'll see ripples moving up and along the edge here, and then you'll oftentimes see the green flash happen up at the top here. But it's not moving away from you, shrinking as it's going away. You see that ripple? Oh, we had one more building over here on the right. People might not be able to see that, but yeah, here you got 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings visible. There is one more that's visible on the right. All right, so there's some great footage. Here's mirages. Conditions right for mirages on Lake Michigan. This is the different.
Really a perfect day
This is the bag quality footage.
to visit Lake Michigan. Beautiful out there. Ellen Baca in the tracking center. And Ellen, the heat up is on the way.
Excuse me.
It is. So we're going to be seeing the heat build in, and we're also going to be seeing the chances for some mirages across Lake Michigan. So let me show you why. First, we'll talk about just how hot it's going to be for this extended stretch here. And you'll notice that heat indices are day after day up near 90 degrees. We're going to see very quiet weather, and we're also going to be seeing a lot of sunshine. So mirages on Lake Michigan usually unfold on weeks like this. They're most
All right, so this is what they want to focus on, mirages.
The upside down city, okay?
Yeah, woo, it's upside down.
Yeah, I don't know how many more links you have in this thread, but there's 2 links in the chat that we need to get to. Because when we cover a topic, I want to make sure that we clearly show the debunk of everything that's taking place here. We want you to completely understand how you're able to see and what you're seeing in your circle of sight. I want to make this as clear and easy as possible.
Yeah, I'll get to those. We got some more tabs to go through here quick. None of them are long, I don't think. So this is, we can't bring up the Google Earth right now. It's crashing the system. But this is Chicago from Indiana Dunes. And somebody put some lines in here because they think it's a globe Earth proof, but yet these buildings look at perfectly standing up, not tilt. Yeah. Indiana Dunes, they're saying. That's the southeast location. 33 miles. Nope. No, they are absolutely screwing with you because this is Michigan over here, everybody. This is the Grand Mere Park. This is the 50-mile location. The Indiana Dunes are over here. Look it up. Remember, it's coming from the southeast. This is the shorter distance right here. So the disinformation is just so thick on this topic. You have to be smart and have actually studied this so as to not get fooled by this bullshit. This is Chicago. So they're depicting curvature with this graphic right here. But all it is a distance and its elevation. So what this should be doing is you should be setting the observer up on top here saying, all right, what's the distance to the horizon from this elevation? Is this a possible view from the other side? And you'll see that, yes, yeah, it is possible. And they're trying to point out the missing part of the buildings, which is true, but absolutely expected based on the distance to the horizon calculator. So this shows you how much of the buildings is actually missing in this shot right here. All right, and this is Indiana Dunes. Sometimes they have it right. Here's another shot. This is Joshua Nowicki, by the way.
Canagoo.
Let me make this a hair smaller so it's... Here's Joshua Nowicki. You can go to... He's got 666 views on this. Wow. Oh. But here is Chicago in the sun. I should have done some exposure compensation. It's not the best quality footage. But you can clearly see the buildings there. It's not a mirage. Not a mirage, Joshua. here's the lensman of the lake. This is sort of a video put together by people that set up to film this, right? Let's check this out.
Hey everyone, Michael Dury here with PhotoPXL.com. We're out here in the Indiana Dunes and we're shooting the Chicago Skyline with some of my photography friends. We planned this shot for a while. Looks like the conditions are perfect, so we'll report back soon.
Already I'm able to pick up the silhouettes of the buildings, but as the sun comes down behind them, they'll be much easier to see. That's the kind of setup I want to see, is a bunch of people out there with their cameras documenting stuff. So here's a great shot of the buildings, but this is from the Indiana Dunes. Keep in mind this is 33 miles away, coming from the southeast, not across the lake at the 50-mile distance. Upside down, it's a mirage. See, all these guys know. They know that is not tilted away. They see the sun coming down right there, setting into Earth. Watch this. Oh yeah, that went fast. Let's take it back a couple frames. Look at that, everyone. That's great footage. We've got people that have done it with a drone. Now this is saying 65 miles, but that actually does work. It actually does make sense if you send up a drone, because now all of a sudden you've increased your circle of sight. So this is the farthest sighting I've heard of Chicago on Lake Michigan at 65 miles, and the person used a drone to get the footage.
And you can see that it was only visible due to the fact that the buildings were acting like mirrors. Again, the mirror is the best way to have the largest field of view sighting.
Yeah, so another way to increase your distance, everyone, get a larger circle of sight. Send up a drone.
This is probably the time that I'd like you to get to the...
Okay.
The first link in the chat, there's two. One says river, and the other says perspective. They're time-stamped. You just paste them into your tab. So Jason did a video a long time ago called River Proof, showing that it'd be impossible to live on a sphere due to the fact that water would have to flow backwards uphill. That's the second one. We're not going to do that first. The other link was river. We're going to do river first. We'll get to that one after. Jason showed that it is impossible for the water to work on a sphere. It would have to flow uphill into a larger body of water than itself. That's the way rivers actually debunk. So here, okay, I want to talk about what we're observing. Jason just said that the longest sighting distance of Chicago Skyline was done because the observer rised in elevation. Okay, so if that's true, and we were on a sphere, rising in elevation doesn't actually give you a better vantage point. Actually, what happens is what's on the horizon beyond actually gets smaller and moves away from you as you rise. Watch as Jason shows here as he rises in elevation that the Earth drops away from his view. It falls out of the actual frame of view, right? This is what we expect. It's right at the spot cued where you just have to hit play, and you're going to notice as we rise in elevation, the curvature of the sphere goes down.
Is that on a
okay?
ball? You're going to have this. I don't think it's at this spot. It's
standing at the highest point. On the ball.
It's at the end.
That's how we orient
Are you
ourselves.
sure? Okay, you can go to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You're the creator of the video.
Yeah, it's a bonus thing that I threw in at the end because I had the model working.
We gotta smash what we're showing people. That people have to get this clear in their mind.
In a hot air balloon at that river mouth, and you're gonna ascend upwards. So here I'm gonna take the hand. Ooh, look at what happens as you rise on a ball. The horizon of a ball would always go down below you. Okay?
Falling away.
Back here, this is the infinite flat plane, and that's not moving. That's standing still.
So pause. I wanted to show that issue. So when you rise in elevation on a ball, You would not expect to see a flat plane further into the view. You would actually see the curvature of the Earth falling away from you. Now, if we go to the next video clip, or you can keep showing that, I want to make sure that everybody gets this into their brain. Exactly what's going on.
Showing everybody, yeah, on a ball, the physical edge would be going down,
drop
all the way around you as you went up.
All the way around you, you'd see it falling away. You'd see the curve. I know I'm on a sphere. There would be no debate. Now go back. I think you might have jumped a little bit too far. What I want to show is this diagram. Okay, the mark number 1 at the top of that totem pole, for the lack of a better word, has the largest. So I want you to think of in your mind, you're an observer. We're going to place you on number 1. Jason, can you point at the pole at number 1? If you're standing at the top of this here tower, you would be able to see to the outer circle. Okay, you see that? And when you go down to number 2, number 3, and number 4, you can see less and less. So what you need to understand is if you were on the ground here at the bottom of this tower and you started to travel away from the tower, right there at number 4, you could look up and see it all. But as you cross over number 4 at that circle line, now you can't see below number 4. As you cross the next ring out, you're seeing it intersect with number 3 now. You can't see the tower below number 3. As you move back, you reach the number 2. So you could still see number 2 and up from this spot. When you move out to the outer ring, now you can only see number 1. Okay? And that is exactly what all of the footage, all of the evidence that we've been going through tonight proves. It proves the thesis. It proves my theory. It's absolutely true that this is exactly how we witness reality. And rising, if we go back in elevation, doesn't show us more of this pole. Actually, the pole would actually drop away from us. And not only that, even in their own diagrams you've seen tonight, when they try to fake what's happening in reality, they have to put a crazy curve, and that tower would actually be leaning backwards if it was behind a curve. This is how perspective works in our virtual reality.
That's true. We've got a couple images we can take a look at here. Here's a great picture. Chicago. Once again, you can tell this is from Indiana, from the southeast, looking northwest.
So remember, we're only seeing from like 3 or 2 up of these buildings. Remember, the first and second sections, or 4th and 5th, are hidden beyond the vanishing point.
Yeah, and then when we go to the 50 mile, then all of a sudden you can only see the 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Here is another image of Chicago. Once again, you can tell this is from Indiana, not Michigan, by the amount of the buildings that you can see. We've got this video here. Let's check this out. Where do you think this one's taken from? All right, this one's farther away, right? Michigan City. It's in Michigan now. You can see that you don't see a bunch of the buildings now.
And if we were to rise in elevation, we would see more of them, and the Earth wouldn't fall away from us.
All right, and the sun's not moving away. It's not shrinking. Going down full size. Well lined up shot. Well choreographed. But this is what you can see on any ordinary night, right? Another video. It says from Michigan.
Well, to be more specific,
maybe
during the time of the year that the sun is passing through that section of the horizon.
Yeah, but in general, you're gonna see the buildings, and you can see them at night too, right? The lights of you can see the lights in the windows and all that kind of stuff across the lake if it's clear enough. All right, you can tell that this view is showing a few more buildings. You've got one over here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? So this is not as many as you get from the Indiana dunes, but still not the farthest location away, you can tell. Well choreographed shot. We've got... See, this is what people want to focus on, is the It's a Mirage thing. Here it says Josh Super and his girlfriend. I think it's supposed to be Joshua Nowicki, but they call him Josh Super. Gets the It's Mirage. We've got from Instagram. People are kite surfing in Indiana, and look, there's Chicago. What a great view. But this is the closer shot, you can tell. Here's the image that ended up in Zwar's video, and you can actually see from this location a bunch of missing building, but with zooming in, you can still make out an airplane, right, taken across the face of the sun. So you know the size of an airplane, and yeah, you can put everything into perspective. I think it's interesting the way you can see through the windows of the Willis Tower here. That stuff's all very interesting to me.
They're going to take it down? They're going to drop it? Hollow building?
Hollow building. I don't know. You can see through it. And here's another Indiana dunes. All right. 32 miles away from Indiana. So there's a lot of documentation of this now from the actual locations. Here's a much... this is a farther one. This one says that it's captured from Wecco Beach in Brigman. And Nowson, much less buildings there, right?
A Fata Morgana. There's no Fata Morgana going on here, okay? What you're seeing is real. This is the horizon. This is the skyline. And the buildings that are obscured, again, are not within your circle of sight. And to get them back into your circle of sight, you just rise in elevation. But the caption below it got me. The Fata Morgana stuff is just crazy. Morgana.
And this is what Ronnie's talking about here. Phenomena is called Fata Morgana.
There's no phenomena. This is a clear image. You're seeing
very
exactly
clear.
What is. So again, this doesn't.
You can see an airplane up here, right here.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily debunk the sphere, because the way that the distance to the horizon works, they can try to back engineer it too, like a card trick. But what happens is that people start to see, hey, wait a minute. If it was a sphere, right? If those buildings were actually beyond a curve, they would 100%. They would have to be perpendicular to the center of the sphere, and they would be leaning away. So the fact that they're not leaning away, a huge effort had to take place where they had to tell you that it was atmospheric looming. They've made up words like Fata Morgana, all of this other dismiss and malicious information to confuse you on the other side of the screen. This was a huge campaign. The Great Deception, spoken of in the scriptures, was about your world view, okay? And it took them a very long time to craft this. And I think it's a great presentation that you put together, Jason. And I hope people that are starting to understand as to what's going on. And we want you to get a camera and go out and test these things yourself like we did. And like many of the other people that are tuned in here that are also doing this.
Yeah, so why can you see Chicago from Michigan? It's a major problem for the globe, and it gets used incorrectly by fake flat earthers. They say you can see too far. We talk about the actual distance that you can see, and the reason why you can't see the rest of these buildings here, it's because they're outside your circle of sight and the building's circle of sight as well. And we'll just keep showing everybody how you calculate that. We're going to keep showing everybody ways you can prove that the sun rises from Earth and sets into Earth. Underlit planes is a great way to do that. Another way to do that is to watch the footage of the sun rising and setting through clouds, because what you'll often get is clouds behind the sun.
Which is impossible in the sphere Earth and the pressurized pizza dome model. One is 3,000 miles up, and then the heliocentric model, the sun is 90 million miles away, for lack of a better term.
Look at how great this footage is right here. This is
phenomenal.
top level footage where...
You gonna tell me that there's not clouds running? That sun isn't directly... Look, that's a slicer. I call that a cloud slicer.
Yeah.
And look, the underlit on the top layer of clouds. Like, how does somebody see this and think to themselves, yeah, okay, yeah, that sun is 93 million miles away, and those clouds are just appearing to be sliced perfectly by the sun, going behind and in front. This one's bad. This one destroys heliocentrism.
Yeah, clouds behind the sun is the number one way to know that you're in a virtual reality, and then you'll start to be able to see that the sun actually rises and sets from Earth. But you can clearly see it in the clouds right here.
Sunset.
Go ahead and film this for yourself, everyone.
Clouds.
And once you film it, share it with us. We'll share it with everybody.
And you're going to find the same results as we did. Again, I was stumbled into a lady who was filming the moon. This was, I think, 9 years ago. And lo and behold, she said, look at this. There's clouds behind the moon. And I quickly shared that. This was long before I met Jason. And Jason said, hey, you know, you're in a virtual reality. So I had stumbled upon this very, very early. And lo and behold, every single person that's followed us, that has joined the team and gone out and bought a camera, has actually filmed it themselves. Every single one. David Mispilkin, Terry Zappi. Who else do we have?
Rosette
Delacroix. I think VRW might have done it. We haven't seen the footage yet. I don't think. I think he's got some on his channel, and other people as well. David Pack. There are so many people who have. Okay, Jason and Ronnie, I'm going to see if you're right. They've gone out. They've bought the camera. They've learned how to do it, and they filmed it. They've proven it to themselves. They don't need me or Jason or David Weiss in a ketchup bottle in his kitchen.
The other thing to go out and film is something like a boat going away from you. So this right here is not over a curve, everybody, and you cannot zoom it back in either. Do not let fake flat earthers tell you can zoom that back in, because it is impossible. Look at where's some more of this boat. You'll see it all over the place along the shoreline, everyone. You'll see stuff like this. So now all of a sudden he zoomed way in. You could see a person up here waving to you on this boat, right? But they're not behind the curve right there.
Yeah, the caption will say above this video, "Here you go, flat tards. You're looking at the curve, you dummies." Right? They'll mock you. They'll say, "Here you go, flat tards. Look, Earth is flat, huh?" They'll go, "Where's the missing part of the boat?" And they'll mock you, although you can clearly tell, you can clearly see that everything is perpendicular and plumb to your vantage point, which is absolutely geometrically impossible on a sphere. Okay, if it was a sphere and it was beyond the curve, it would be curving away from you, leaning, due to the fact that it would need to be plumb for its spot. Look, they tell you that everywhere on the sphere is curvelled, that it's all level. They tell you that level means curved. Right? Everything that these heliocentrists do is inverted. Everything.
Yeah. Well, that's the tabs I have together for tonight. I guess in the future we'll have to do something with the Google Earth stuff that we've already pre-recorded. It'd be fun to get into that, show people, start taking measurements from top of the Willis Tower. How far is the circle of sight from there? Draw the radiuses, all that kind of stuff. See how far it is you can see it from. And then if you want to push the limits, go out to the edge of that and then send up a drone, right? Because then you'll be able to see farther, larger circle of sight.
That's the big add-on. Once you film this with your P1000, your P900, whatever camera you have, Sony has one with 50x zoom. There's so many cameras. You don't just have to have the P1000. And actually the P1000 is one of the hardest to use due to the weight of the lens. It's a very tough camera to operate. You can get a much smaller one and still film stuff like this. And what you do is when you rise in elevation, you bring all of the boat back into view. And not only that, flatness beyond the boat. Okay? So I really want everybody, if we can go back to the tower demonstration with the circle of sight rings, I just really want people to understand this deep deep in your consciousness, I want you to remember that this diagram is on a flat plane, and it's showing you these are your circles of sight, and that top of that circle, number 1, is the outer ring. Okay, you can't, there's no number 0 with a larger circle of sight because we would have to make this taller to see more. And then once you get up to a certain height, everything just becomes fuzzy and pixelated out, and you can't actually see anything. Same with when you drill in, that everything gets fuzzy and pixelated out again, which are proof that you live in a virtual reality. Because if things were real, they were tangible, you would be able to measure them. So again, the tower that's in the center of our field of view here is plumb, which means when you hang a weight from a string, when it comes to rest, just like water rests level, okay, plumb is when you rest a weight or a pendulum at the bottom of a string. Okay, I've grew up building buildings, and this is how we used to plumb doors and walls, right? You hold it onto the spot on the floor, and when it stops moving, that is perfectly perpendicular to the plane of the reality that we're in, okay? And these two methods, being plumb, which is straight up and down, and being level, which is horizontal, are exactly the way that everything is possible in this virtual reality to work. Everything from flight paths, trains, water, lift locks. The Suez Canal, I believe, is missing 9,000 feet of curvature. There isn't one lift lock in the Suez Canal. Okay. So I really want people to understand the two measurements that you need to have a virtual reality, because it doesn't work on a sphere, because everything when you try to measure off of a sphere goes to nonsense. That's why all of the actual measurements are done off of a flat plane with a circle of sight around the observer. Everything in reality.
Tunnels, bridges,
tunnels. So I just really want to bring home that once you have something that's plumb, right, and level to the horizon, you have your two axis points, you can measure anything. And if we can go through a couple more of your clips, Jason, as we close this podcast out, all the videos that you were showing with the obscured horizons with all the different buildings, please I put them on the screen again. I want to show people again, everything is plumb now. Again, this picture, if we could see better, everything here is plumb. It's not leaning away from you. It's not curving to the left or the right. And we're not even going to get into the XY axis, how you have different curvature on both directions we're not seeing. We're just looking like a straight on view. Again, everything is plumb and level.
Look at the up close where you can see, right? The number 4 in your diagram, the up close where you can see to the bottoms of everything. Compare that to the one that is obscuring stuff, and it's exactly the same. Exactly the same.
It's not leaning away from you. And every single one of these observations are exactly the same, and they comport to the reality being a flat and stationary fixed plane of Earth with the exact way that our circle of sight works and the distance to our horizon. With the measurement 1 point, so it's the square root of the height of the observer times
in feet.
1 in feet times
1.22459.
459. And what that does is that gives you the distance to the point where an observation goes beyond your field of view.
In miles, yep. This was the infrared, but still did not bring in the bottoms of these buildings. But all it did was make it black and white.
And they're plumb, again.
Yeah. Here's another view just like that from the Indiana Dunes. You can see that this is the closer one where you get to see much more of the buildings. All right, the shorter ones, you can see a number of those. And
Skibers. Maybe if you could just type into the search bar real quick into Google, plumb.
Yeah.
Just so people, not in YouTube, Google. I want to see the New World Order search engine, even though YouTube is a part of it.
Yeah.
Plumb. How to plumb something. Oh, multiple definitions. Yeah, because plumbing pipes is also when you run water. But on your right, you could see the plumb bob that was being demonstrated.
A lead weight that's attached to a line to indicate a vertical direction. It's also known as a plumb bob.
Right. So again, what I want to talk about is all these heliocentrists constantly say, geometry, Ronnie, geometry, Ron, geometry. Geometry proves that the Earth is a fixed and stationary plane, right, with its horizontal and perpendicular axis is perfectly aligned exactly the way they are. Again, if you can continue scrolling down, you'll see the plumb bob on the right, or you can continue to reading if you want.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out exactly vertical. The Tower of Pisa is far out of plumb, right?
So there's an observation. The buildings should look like the Tower of Pisa. They even mock the heliocentrists, mock people right to their faces and show you what it would look like. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, which is also Italian, go figure. So here's a plumb bob on the right here. So you hang that, you have an X on the ceiling. You have an X on the floor, and you hang the plumb bob down. And when the plumb bob rests in the crosshair of the X, you put a mark on the ceiling, and you now have a perfectly plumb point to build a wall. That's how you lay out a long wall, although we use lasers now. But this is the way that we used to. And if you want to check to make sure that your laser is still accurate, you actually have to get a plumb bob out.
Right. And that's the way you do it. And you can also use a water level to make sure that it's still shooting level.
And level is the horizontal axis of reality, and you measure that with a water level. It's how you test your laser. So, again, the buildings that we've been observing tonight that are missing floors have all been perfectly plumb, okay? And if we were on a sphere, they would be leaning away. And I'll argue that in any court, anywhere in the world, any heliocentrist, McToon, Fight the Flat Earth, all of you guys, all of you shills, they know exactly that they can't defend against this. They won't even come near us. They won't debate us. They're not going to come on our channel because we'll eat them alive.
All right. Well, I'm glad we were able to finally get this one out, and we'll just add to it more and more as time goes on. But, hopefully we get some big world events and we get this whole Great Tribulation thing rolling soon, because the amount of people that care about the truth regarding how far you can see and whether or not Earth's a plane seems to be a really small number of people right now. Doesn't seem to be a lot.
But it's still important. Your worldview is what shapes your foundation, right? And we want you to be fixed and firm and follow the truth. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I had a lot of fun tonight. I hope you guys on the other side of the screen did. Please leave a comment. Say hi. Say something. Because you're only going to get this at the Team Yahawashai News Networks.